A storm is already here, and it's not Harley leading it. Honda has just unveiled a strategy so disruptive that even the toughest chrome and the loudest V-twins can't drown it out. The shockwave is spreading quietly, but its final impact will shake motorcycling to its core. The stakes, Harley's survival, the culture of heavyweight cruisers, and the future of every rider who thought the old rules would last forever. Ignore this shift, and you'll be blindsided as traditions collapse, dealerships gasp for air, and a new generation rewrites the playbook. Honda is planting a flag where Harley left an open wound, and if you stay locked in until the end, the mask comes off and the truth Harley doesn't want you to hear will finally be revealed. Honda's ambush bike. This will not be a routine motorcycle launch. It will be an ambush hidden in plain sight. Honda is preparing a machine so small that critics may scoff and call it a toy. Yet the Navi 110 is no novelty. With its simplicity, affordability, and calculated design, it stands ready to rewrite the meaning of entry-level riding and quietly overturn assumptions the motorcycle industry has carried for decades. At first glance, the Navi looks harmless, almost playful, the kind of machine you might dismiss with a smirk. But that appearance is exactly the trap. This motorcycle isn't about flexing horsepower charts or chrome. It's about flipping the script. By stripping away the intimidation, Honda has created something far more dangerous than a spec sheet warrior. A motorcycle that anyone, anywhere can see themselves riding. What makes it powerful isn't what's bolted to the frame. It's what happens in the mind of the person standing in front of it. The Navi whispers possibility, freedom, and confidence without shouting. That quiet invitation becomes the hook. It lowers the drawbridge to motorcycling, and once someone crosses it, they rarely step back. That's the brilliance of Honda's move. Honda had drawn a battle line. For the cost of one heavyweight cruiser, 10 Navis could transform a neighborhood. Where Harley projected exclusivity, Honda broadcast accessibility. This was not just about selling motorcycles, it was about creating an army of riders. And that was the ambush. Because the real threat was never the machine. It was the people it would bring onto the road. The beginner's weapon. Honda just made the first ride feel like victory, not failure. For decades, beginners have been haunted by one common fear: stalling out in traffic or dropping a heavy motorcycle at a stoplight. The Navi 110 erases those fears with surgical precision. Its continuously variable transmission requires no clutch and no gears. A new rider simply twists the throttle and glides forward, experiencing motion without frustration. That smooth first impression is priceless. Imagine a nervous college student climbing a board for the first time. The machine weighs little more than a large bicycle, yet it hums with the reliability of a Honda single. The seat is low, the balance is forgiving, and the small frame inspires confidence rather than intimidation. The beginner rider eases into traffic, surprised at how natural it feels to maneuver. Instead of wrestling with mechanical complexity, the focus shifts to the joy of movement and the confidence of control. This is not about performance numbers or highway dominance. It is about psychology. By making the first ride seamless, Honda is planting an emotional flag in the mind of every new rider. Motorcycles are fun, motorcycles are simple, and motorcycles are within reach. The little carbureted engine hums predictably, the brakes respond without drama, and every control feels deliberate yet friendly. That first successful loop around the block is not just a personal milestone. It is the opening act of a lifelong relationship with motorcycling. And once riders achieve that first taste of confidence, Honda is waiting with something bigger, stronger, and even more compelling. If this breakdown hits home, hit that like button. It tells us to keep bringing you the truth. Drop a comment too. What's your take on Honda's rise? Your voice makes these conversations stronger, and we want to hear it. The pipeline Harley forgot. Harley killed the first rung of the ladder. Honda built a staircase. A few years ago, Harley Davidson discontinued its Street 500 and Street 750 models. That decision effectively closed the door on a generation of entry-level riders who wanted an affordable on-ramp into the Harley family. With that doorway gone, the pipeline from beginner to loyal heavyweight cruiser owner collapsed. Honda saw the weakness and seized the opening. Instead of abandoning the low end of the market, it fortified it. The Navi 110 serves as the playful introduction, a machine that removes fear and delivers confidence. Once a rider has logged miles on the Navi, the natural progression is clear. The next logical step is the Honda Rebel 500. That bike carries the soul of a cruiser but wraps it in a mid-sized package that is approachable and affordable. From there, Honda's lineup expands into larger displacement standards, sport bikes, and touring machines. Each step feels natural, each price increase manageable, each upgrade logical. A staircase like this does not happen by accident. Each displacement tier feels intentional, guiding riders upward without overwhelming them. From the Navi's simplicity to the Rebel's balance and into Honda's larger machines, the ladder is continuous. Harley's missing entry rung makes its entire structure feel incomplete by comparison. This is not an accident. It is a deliberate funnel, designed to catch riders at their very first step and then guide them upward. While Harley pulled away from the entry-level segment, Honda doubled down on it, creating not just a product, but a structured path, a staircase from curiosity to loyalty. And that pipeline does more than sell motorcycles. It defines who the next generation of riders will become. Here's the thing, bad gear can ruin a good ride. That's why I pulled together a short list of trusted helmets, gloves, and accessories that won't let you down. Everything's linked in the description so you can gear up the right way. The demographic bomb. When your average customer is pushing 60, your time is running out. Harley Davidson has long leaned on an older, wealthier demographic to sustain its heavyweight cruiser sales. But demographics are destiny, and the math is merciless. As Harley's customer base continues to age, the risk of contraction grows sharper. Without younger riders stepping into the fold, the pipeline narrows, the community shrinks, and the brand ages out of relevance. Honda's Navi 110 is the perfect countermeasure. It is affordable enough for high school students, accessible enough for college commuters, and unintimidating enough for first-time adult riders. It welcomes Gen Z and millennials into the fold, not with lectures or heritage marketing, but with a machine that simply works for their lives. The little carbureted single-cylinder engine becomes a passport to independence, to freedom, to identity. This is not about replacing Harley's heavyweight cruisers directly. It is about controlling the starting line. By drawing in young riders, Honda is planting seeds that will bear fruit for decades. Each 20-year-old who learns on a Navi is a potential 30-year-old Rebel rider and a 40-year-old tourer owner. That demographic progression is how brand dominance is cemented. Generational timing is brutal. As boomers and Gen X riders begin to exit the scene, it is millennials and Gen Z who decide what survives. By anchoring itself with the youngest riders through machines like the Navi, Honda secures tomorrow, while Harley risks fading into yesterday's memory. Harley may still hold sway among older riders, but time only moves in one direction. And as younger riders choose Honda as their first love, the foundation of Harley's empire grows shakier by the year. And when you zoom into the wallet, the threat looks even bigger: the cost of ownership war. It is not just cheaper, it is a whole new economy of riding. When you line up the Honda Navi 110 against a heavyweight V-twin cruiser, the contrast is staggering. The Navi rolls out of showrooms for barely more than $2,000, while heavyweight cruisers often command $20,000 or more. That gap alone would be enough to make people pause, but the economics only grow wider when you add in everything that follows after the purchase. Insurance on a sub-110 cubic centimeter machine is pocket change compared to the premium coverage required for large displacement motorcycles. Many riders can insure a Navi for less than what they pay monthly for car coverage, making it appealing even to those on student or starter budgets. Then comes the fuel story. The little carbureted single sips gasoline at more than 70 miles per gallon. A full tank costs only a handful of dollars and stretches farther than most expect, while heavyweight machines devour gas at 20 to 30 miles per gallon, turning every weekend ride into a premium fuel bill. Even accessories tell the story. Helmets, jackets, and maintenance gear for a Navi rider often cost more than the motorcycle itself. By contrast, outfitting a heavyweight cruiser demands premium parts and specialized tools. Every dollar saved at Honda's level magnifies the perception that motorcycling can finally be affordable again. Maintenance is equally lopsided. Oil changes are simple and inexpensive, tires are smaller and cheaper, and the absence of complex electronic systems keeps service costs minimal. Compare that to heavyweight cruisers with belt drives, premium chrome, and specialized service requirements, and the advantage grows clear. And those economics only get scarier when multiplied across Honda's network. Dealer domination. Honda does not sell a dream, it sells volume. The Navi 110 is not meant to sit on a pedestal as a trophy machine. It is designed to be stacked in rows, delivered in crates, and handed over in quick succession. Honda's global dealership network dwarfs that of many competitors, and its ability to stock units in bulk is one of its greatest strategic weapons. Where heavyweight cruisers sit in boutique showrooms waiting for the right customer, the Navi can be found in ordinary dealerships across towns and cities. These dealerships are trained to move motorcycles efficiently. Financing is simple, often comparable to buying an appliance or laptop, and the price point keeps approvals quick. Because the Navi costs so little, many buyers can walk in with cash or secure credit lines without heavy paperwork. That means faster sales cycles, higher unit turnover, and fewer floor plan financing burdens for the dealers themselves. A heavyweight cruiser may sit on a showroom floor for months, slowly accruing interest costs and tying up dealer capital. By contrast, a shipment of Navis can move out the door in weeks, replenished as quickly as Honda's supply chain allows. This constant churn not only fuels dealer profitability, but also ensures that the bikes are visible in real life. Every unit sold is another rolling advertisement, another confirmation that this model is everywhere. Beyond raw numbers, visibility is everything. A Navi sitting in every other dealership window creates momentum no billboard can buy. Each display whispers affordability, accessibility, and inevitability. Shoppers who never planned on riding find themselves tempted, proving Honda's true advantage is not marketing, it is saturation. And when those units hit the streets, they do not just sell, they spread. The urban solution. It looks like a toy, until it beats your commute. In crowded urban environments, the Navi 110 shines brighter than any heavyweight cruiser ever could. At 234 pounds, it is light enough to weave through tight alleys and crowded parking lots with ease. Its 30-inch seat height allows nearly anyone to manage it in stop-and-go traffic, and its carbureted engine runs reliably on regular gasoline available at any pump. For a college student navigating a campus, a commuter living in a dense neighborhood, or a delivery rider making short trips, the Navi is not just transportation, it is liberation. Parking is simple, fuel costs are negligible, and the stress of balancing a massive cruiser in gridlock is non-existent. The little bike sneaks into spaces that cars and trucks cannot reach, turning everyday errands into manageable tasks. In many cities, the ability to park a motorcycle steps away from a storefront saves riders both time and money, advantages that stack up with every trip. The design makes this utility clear. There is a small storage box built into the frame, enough to hold essentials. The continuously variable transmission makes creeping through traffic effortless, no shifting required. The payoff is not just convenience, it is consistency. Riders know what to expect each time they climb aboard. But Honda is not counting on commuters to carry the torch, it is banking on what happens after. The graduation funnel. The first bike is just the bait, the real profit comes next. Honda is not content to sell a $2,000 entry-level motorcycle and stop there. The Navi 110 is simply the start of a carefully designed progression. Once a rider has mastered the basics and gained confidence on the streets, The natural urge is to graduate to something more powerful, more stylish, and more versatile. Honda is ready with a staircase of options. The most common next step is the Rebel 500. It offers the feel of a true cruiser, but remains light, affordable, and approachable. For riders who prefer something more aggressive, the CB series provides naked street fighters with modern performance at competitive prices. Touring-minded riders can set their eyes on larger standards and adventure-inspired models. In every direction, Honda has a rung waiting on the ladder, each carefully priced and engineered to feel like the next logical move. This is the genius of the funnel. Riders who begin with the Navi rarely feel the need to leave the Honda family because every upgrade they want already exists within the same showroom. The trust built on day one carries forward, and Honda captures customer loyalty not just for one purchase, but for a lifetime of motorcycling. Meanwhile, Harley has been making moves of its own, and they are backfiring. The empty doorway. Closing the street line was not a trim, it was a self-inflicted wound. When Harley Davidson discontinued the Street 500 and Street 750, it cut off the very first step that many new riders needed to join the brand. For decades, Harley's promise was that anyone could start small and grow with the company. But when those entry machines vanished, so did the hope of affordable initiation into the Harley lifestyle. Imagine a 20-year-old standing in a dealership, eager but cautious. The Street 500 was once their gateway, a manageable machine that whispered, "Welcome." Without it, they are confronted with larger, heavier cruisers carrying intimidating price tags. That moment of connection, that first chance at ownership, evaporates. Instead of pulling beginners into the fold, Harley left them stranded outside the doorway. This decision was not about riders, it was about margins. Harley sought to protect profitability by trimming what executives saw as underperforming models. Yet what disappeared was more than a line of motorcycles. It was the pipeline of future customers. Riders who might have bonded with the brand at the start never got the chance. And the riders Harley lost? They are not just gone. They are shaping a new culture. The culture clash. Young riders do not want cosplay. They want competence. For decades, heavyweight cruisers thrived on a particular identity: chrome, leather, and the echo of tradition. But younger generations are rejecting the idea that motorcycling must be wrapped in costume. They do not want to buy an image. They want machines that work, machines that fit into real lives, machines that deliver without theatrics. This is where Honda shines. Its smaller displacement machines are not dressed up as symbols of rebellion or nostalgia. They are practical, approachable, and reliable. The culture forming around these motorcycles is not about staging at a bar on a Saturday. It is about using the bike as everyday transport, as a friend in traffic, or as a companion on weekend back roads. The values are competence, efficiency, and trust, not mythology. In this clash of cultures, Harley looks increasingly out of step. Chrome-heavy cruisers may still appeal to a shrinking base, but younger riders look at them as relics of another time. They want technology that works seamlessly, engines that start every morning, and machines that feel like tools rather than props. And when you put that culture into numbers, the imbalance is devastating. The 20 bikes versus 1 problem. For the price of one heavyweight cruiser, you can arm a whole crew with Hondas. A flagship Harley cruiser can cost upwards of $20,000. Divide that same sum among Honda's small displacement lineup, and you can put 20 or more Navi 110s on the road. The arithmetic alone tells a story, but the social impact is even more striking. Picture a community where one Harley rider rolls into the parking lot. Heads turn, yes, but the moment is solitary. Now picture 20 Honda riders arriving together, each on a Navi or a Rebel, the lot buzzing with energy, conversation, and movement. The sheer volume of presence reshapes how communities see motorcycles. More bikes mean more meetups, more clubs, more visibility. The multiplier effect is powerful. With each low-cost Honda sold, the odds of a friend convincing another to buy one grow exponentially. One Harley is a personal statement. 20 Hondas are a movement. This math does not just expand Honda's footprint, it multiplies its cultural gravity, creating circles of riders who feed one another's enthusiasm. And it is not just in America. Globally, this tide is unstoppable. The global tide. 20 million small bikes a year do not lie. Around the world, the motorcycle market is dominated not by heavyweight cruisers, but by small displacement machines. In Asia, Africa, and Latin America, motorcycles with engines under 200 cubic centimeters are the lifeblood of daily life. Honda leads this segment with unmatched scale, selling millions of units every year. Harley, by contrast, barely registers. The sheer size of the global market tilts the playing field. Where Harley sells in the tens of thousands, Honda moves in the tens of millions. That gap is not just statistical, it is existential. The infrastructure, supplier networks, and engineering expertise built from such volume allow Honda to refine its small machines continually while keeping prices low. Harley, focusing on its narrow niche, cannot compete at that scale. What makes this more significant is the shift beginning in Western markets. As cities grow denser and costs rise, the practicality that has long driven Asia's small bike culture is crossing oceans. Lightweight, affordable machines are no longer seen as second class. They are being embraced as first-choice solutions. And those global waves are about to hit United States shores harder than anyone expects. The psychological flip. The real revolution is not mechanical. It is mental. For decades, small motorcycles in the United States were dismissed as toys. Riders sneered at anything under 500 cubic centimeters, assuming that real bikes had to be loud, heavy, and intimidating. Honda's move with the Navi 110 is dismantling that stigma one ride at a time. Psychology is shifting. When commuters glide past gridlock on a lightweight machine that costs less than a new laptop, onlookers do not see a toy. They see efficiency. When fuel prices creep higher and a small carbureted engine delivers 70 miles per gallon, that thrift no longer looks cheap, it looks smart. The mental model that equated size with respect is collapsing under the pressure of practicality. It is not about abandoning big machines, but about rewriting what counts as legitimate. In the eyes of a new generation of riders, competence replaces spectacle, and smaller motorcycles gain a dignity they once lacked. That is the flip. The moment when choosing a small bike signals intelligence instead of inexperience. Once that perception spreads, it becomes self-reinforcing. The more riders embrace it, the more acceptable it becomes. And when perception flips, competitors rush in. You've seen how far this story goes, but we're not done. Subscribe now because we will reveal even bigger shifts. Don't miss the updates that matter. Join our community today and ride with us into the future. Copycats and counter moves. If you cannot beat Honda's price, you steal its playbook. Rival manufacturers are watching the Navi's rise with alarm. Kawasaki, long respected for its Ninjas and Z-Series machines, is already rumored to be developing an ultra-affordable 125 cubic centimeter commuter. Yamaha, with its deep bench of commuter scooters in Asia, could repackage one of those platforms for Western release at a shockingly low price. Even Suzuki, though slower to innovate, understands that losing the entry-level war means losing the next decade of riders. Then, there are the Chinese brands. Companies like CF and Lifan already build countless small displacement motorcycles for domestic markets. With rising quality standards and aggressive pricing, they could flood North America and Europe with machines that undercut even Honda's razor-thin margins. A wave of competition would transform the sub-200 cubic centimeter segment from a novelty into a battlefield. The counter moves will come fast. Expect stripped-down models, simplified carburetors, and aggressive financing offers. Each brand knows that once Honda captures the beginner, loyalty is hard to break. By copying the formula, rivals hope to stop that loyalty from ever forming. But Honda is already one move ahead because cities themselves are on its side. Cities and policy tailwinds. Congested streets and shrinking parking make tiny gasoline bikes look like genius. Across American cities, policymakers are wrestling with gridlock, rising fuel consumption, and a desperate need for affordable mobility. Honda's Navi 110 does not need to be electric to fit into this moment. It only needs to be small, efficient, and cheap. Municipal governments are not blind. They see parking shortages where a single truck takes up space that could hold 3 or 4 motorcycles. They see public frustration with rising gas prices while lightweight machines sip fuel sparingly. They see delivery services, campus shuttles, and urban commuters begging for simpler options. The Navi slides neatly into this policy puzzle without requiring massive subsidies or charging networks. Where electric scooters face range anxiety and battery-swapping infrastructure, the Navi thrives on regular gasoline available everywhere. Its simplicity appeals to city planners who want solutions now, not a decade from now. Expect local incentives for small motorcycle parking, reduced toll rates, and even tax benefits for riders who ease congestion. The policy winds are shifting. For once, they favor the smallest player in the lineup. And the final impact is the deepest cut of all, Harley's own identity. The identity crisis. What happens when the dream itself shrinks? For Harley Davidson, the existential challenge is not just about losing sales, it is about losing meaning. Harley has built its identity on the promise of heavyweight power, on the thunder of V-twins that symbolize rebellion and dominance. But if tomorrow's riders begin their journey on small Hondas and never feel the need to upgrade into heavyweight cruisers, Harley's dream risks becoming irrelevant. Identity is the invisible glue that holds a brand together. If that glue cracks, the machine underneath no longer carries the same weight. Imagine a world where real biker no longer means chrome and cubic inches, but instead means clever, efficient, and agile. That cultural shift would hollow out Harley's story. The company could keep producing motorcycles, but the mythology, the aura that sustained generations, would fade. Honda does not need to beat Harley on its own terms. It only needs to redefine the terms entirely. With each Navi that hits the road, the scale tips further. The longer Harley waits to adapt, the deeper the crisis grows. Next, we will reveal which United States cities will be the first to flip from heavyweight culture to small bike dominance. So there you have it. Honda's ambush isn't just a headline, it's a warning shot across Harley's future. The battle for motorcycling's soul has already begun, and what happens next will shape every rider's experience on the road. If this gave you something to think about, smash that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. We want your perspective. And most importantly, hit subscribe right now. The next story we're covering is even bigger, and you don't want to be the one who misses it. Stay tuned. The ride has only just begun.